Welcome, friends. In this session, I'm going to talk about the basis of Krishnamurti Paddhati. But before we get into that, I just want to point out that sometimes people get tend to get mixed up with J. Krishnamurti and U.G. Krishnamurti. They were both from South India, and but they have nothing to do with K.S. Krishnamurti. They were not related with K.S. Krishnamurti, who is the founder of Krishnamurti Paddhati. So K.S. Krishnamurti is a different person, and he was born in Tanjore in Tamil Nadu in 1908, and he died in 1972. He used to work in a public health department at Chennai or Madras, and he studied all the systems, Hindu, Western, and all other astrology system, and then he came up with his own system that's popularly called as Krishnamurti Paddhati or the KP system. So let's get started. The the basis of Krishnamurti Paddhati is the Vimshottari, dasha. There are so many different kind of dashas in traditional astrology. We have Yogini Dasha, Kal Chakra Dasha, and Manduk Dasha. But Krishnamurti focused, only on the Vishwattari Dasha. So if you have to understand what is the basis of Krishnamurti Paddhati, you have to understand what the Vishwattari Dasha is. So I'll quickly, explain it. Many of you might be knowing, so I'm going to be, just brief on this and how this dasha is calculated. So we have 27 nakshatras, and the 360 degree of zodiac divided by 27 nakshatras. So each nakshatra has a 13-degree 20-minute span. So let's say in Aries, from 0 degree to 13-20 degree, we have the first nakshatra, that is Ashwini, ruled by Ketu. Then we have Bharani, that's ruled by Venus, from 1320 to 2640. And then we have Kritika, since Aries, ends at 30 degrees. So a part of the Kritika nakshatra is in Aries, and rest is in Taurus. So when a person is born, and let's say his moon is in Aries 1 degree, or let's say Aries 0 degree, then we say that this person has to undergo the Mahadasha of Ketu for 7 years. And if that person is born in 13-20 degrees of Aries, then we say that the person is under the star of Bharani, which is ruled by Venus. So he has to undergo 20 years of Venus Dasha at the time of birth. This is the Dasha sequence, and total is 120. And so if somebody has Venus Dasha at the time of birth, the next is going to be the Sun Dasha, then Moon, and the last would be Ketu. So this is a cyclic, order of Dasha, and that is what Krishnamurti has used as the basis, of his foundation. And let me, quickly explain. Let's take, this example horoscope. This is a North Indian style format. This is the ascendant, this is the second house, and this is the 12th house. This is counterclockwise. So what Krishnamurti said, and he has mentioned this in a couple of his books, that when we are analyzing a horoscope such as this, that at one point we come to what kind of dasha this person has, and for that we focus our attention on moon, and we say, okay, moon is in 1 degree of Aries. So obviously, the moon is in this span, that's Ashwini, ruled by Ketu. So we say this person will have Ketu's, dasha at the time of birth. So so what happens is at that time, then our focus is diverted from moon being in 11th to Ketu being in 4th. So when we are analyzing the chart, then immediately, our attention is focused on Ketu, which is in 4th house. And 4th house is for education, mother, vehicle, real estate, and those kind of stuff. So we start talking about those aspects of life. So Krishnamurti said that it seems like the moon is not giving the result of where it is, that is 11th house, but it is first, giving the result of the fourth house, where its star lord is. The star is Ashwini and the lord is Ketu. So that's fourth house. So moon is first, giving the result of the fourth house. And then he did some research and he found out that this is pretty much true, not for the moon, but for all the other planets. So basically it means that a planet first gives the result of where is the star lord is, and so moon's star lord Ketu is in fourth, so moon is giving the result of fourth house. Similarly, for Saturn, Venus, and all other planets. So that is what primarily became the foundation of Krishnamurti Paddhati, and where initially we think that moon is giving the result of the 11th house, but actually in practical life we found that the issues related to the fourth house are actually that is what a person is experiencing, and he extended this logic to all the planets. So so that is what is the first basic rule of Krishnamurti Paddhati, that a planet predominantly gives the result of where the lord of its nakshatra or star lord is placed. So like we discussed, moon is in Aries and moon is in Ashwini star, that's ruled by Ketu, and Ketu is in fourth house. So moon would first and strongly give the result of the fourth house. This is often, we say that moon is in star of Ketu in fourth, or we say moon is the significator of the fourth house. This is the word, that Krishnamurti came up with, significator. Or we say moon signifies fourth house. All these are pretty much same. They all mean that a planet gives the result of where the lord of its nakshatra, star lord, is placed. So that, is the first basic fundamental rule of Krishnamurti. And now the next thing that Krishnamurti realized was that now what happens is there are multiple planets placed in the same star. Let's say Saturn is 2 degrees in in Aries, and Venus is, let's say, 5 degrees in Aries. The Moon is already in 1 degree. So all these three planets are in the Ashwini, star that's ruled by Ketu. So all these three planets will first and foremost give the result of the fourth house. But Krishnamurti realized that in some period or some sub periods, which is basically Mahadasha or the Antardasha, the results relate to the fourth house, but some results are positive and some results are negative. So let's say Saturn might give the result of fourth house related to house or real estate, but a person might be actually not acquiring a house or purchasing out. He might be selling a house, and same way with Venus and Moon. So then this question came to Krishnamurti's mind that though a planet might be in the same star, ruled by the same planet and signifying the same house, but the result experienced by a persons are different. They sometimes they are positive, sometimes they are negative for some planets. He started thinking about it, and he said that there has to be a third factor, a qualifier, and that actually decides whether the result is going to be positive or negative. So Saturn signifies fourth house, and it might be a acquisition of house, or it might be a disposal of house, or the whole experience might be negative. Moon also, is in Ashwini star ruled by Ketu. So moon also signifies the fourth house, but the whole experience related to the fourth house might be, very positive. And so with Venus, it might be positive or negative. So so he said that there has to be a third factor, some qualifier that actually indicates that what the results are going to be related to the fourth house, whether it's going to be positive or negative. So what he did was that he divided, this particular area into further, subdivisions. So and how he did this was, what he did was that he took the years of planet in Vishwattari Dasha and divided by 120, and then multiplied by the span of a nakshatra, which is 13 degree 20 minutes, or the 800 minutes. So for example, Ketu has 7 years out of 120 years. So 7 divided by 120 into 800, so that becomes 46 minutes and 40 seconds. So what he did was that he divided each of these nakshatra into nine unequal divisions, and these divisions he named as the subdivision or the sub, or and these divisions are in turn again ruled by a planet, so that's all usually called as sublord. So let's look at this particular example. And so this is we have these nine divisions, and the first division in Ashwini ruled by Ketu is belongs to Ketu, and using this particular formula, the from 0 degree to 46 minutes 40 second, the first subdivision belongs to Ketu. Then after that, it belongs to Venus. This order is same like I mentioned, in the this dasha order. Okay, the Ketu, Venus, and Sun. So it follows the same order. For example, in Bharani, the first subdivision will belong to Venus. Okay, Bharani is ruled by Venus, so first subdivision belongs to Venus and then Sun. So this is a cyclic, order. And if a planet is, let's say, in this particular area, then in Krishnamurti Paddhati, you would say that the a planet is under the sway of Ketu as a part of its a star ownership, and then in the subdivision again, it is in the Ketu subdivision. If a planet is, let's say, in 2 degrees of Aries, then in Krishnamurti Paddhati we say that the planet is ruled by Ketu, as the part of the star ownership, and but the subdivision, belongs to Venus. So this is what is the qualifying, factor in Krishnamurti Paddhati. There might be one or many planets in this particular star, but one might be in Ketu subdivision, second might be in Venus, or third might be in Jupiter or Mercury, depending on what kind of degrees they have. So so this is how he came up with the theory of what is called as the star lord and the sublord. The star lord is Ketu, and the sublord is, depending on the degree, it's a Venus or Ketu. So and if you look at it carefully, then star lord is actually nothing but the Mahadashanath, and sublord is nothing but the Bhuktinath. Okay, so this is what the subdivision and the star division means. And so let's go back to our chart. And so here we say that Ketu, Moon, and Venus, they both are in the Ketu, the star, but their sublord might be different. Set might be in the Venus, subdivision. Moon might be in some other, and Venus might be in some other. So those subdivision or the sublord, that they qualify, how a result is going to be experienced by a person related to the fourth house. All these three planets, they indicate the fourth house by virtue of being in the star of Ketu in Aries. But since their subdivision, or the sublord changes, with that, the how the results are felt, positive or negative, that changes. So that is what is the basis of the what is called as the star lord or sublord in Krishnamurti Paddhati. Then Krishnamurti, came to another question, that was about the twin birth, and he has mentioned that twins are born at an interval of 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 15 minutes, and but one twin might be alive and the second dies, and or one might be male, second might be female, and the two twins if they grow up, and they might go into different kind of profession. So what is that thing that rapidly changes? And see, these when the planets are in the the subdivisions, they move very slowly, and they are not going to change in 5-10 minutes of time. Even the moon, the fastest moving planet, might take hours from going from one subdivision to another subdivision. So there has to be something that changes very rapidly in case of twin birth, and that's of course obviously the lagna or the ascendant. And Krishnamurti worked on various subdivisions or the divisional charts like Navansh and D30 or D60, where the ascendant changes. But somehow he couldn't find the answer that he was looking for. So he settled for what is called as the Placidus house division. This is popular in West, but this has been adopted by Krishnamurti. And so Krishnamurti gave preference to creating a cusp chart which is based on the Placidus house division. In one of my videos I have discussed about the bhav in cusp chart. You might want to look at it. But when you are creating a birth chart according to Krishnamurti Paddhati, then you don't have to look at the lagna chart. You have to create a cusp chart. And in the cusp chart, the planet might occupy or be in a different houses. For example, moon is here in the 11th house, but if you look at the cusp chart, you find that moon goes in the 10th house, and this happens because of the Placidus house division. And let me show you an example. Let's take uh, the 10th house, and now the 10th house extends from Pisces 14 degree to Aries 19 degree. And in the Placidus house system, the house starts from here and ends over here, and the ending point becomes the starting point for the second house or the cusp. Okay, so we find that the 10th house starts from Pisces 14 degrees something and ends into this. And now if you look at moon, so moon is where? Moon is in Aries, uh, 1 degree. So obviously the moon is going to be here, right? Because this is the extent of the 10th house, and so moon is going to be here. So this is how the planets are placed in a KP cusp chart. And but you might want to note that it doesn't mean that moon is in Pisces. Moon is still in Aries, but it occupies the 10th house in a chart that has been prepared according to Krishnamurti Paddhati. And and again what Krishnamurti did was that the the star lord and the sublord concept that he has applied to the planets, he applied to the cusp chart as well. So the ascendant, at this for this person is in a certain degree that's ruled by Jupiter as the star lord, and sublord is Mercury. And since the ascendant, moves very fast, so after 5 or 10 minutes, if somebody is born, then this is going to remain same. This is going to remain same, but this is going to change. This might become, the sublord might become Ketu, and after 15-20 minutes, the sublord might become Venus. Okay, so this alone is sufficient, for creating a difference, between a twin birth. One might live and one might die. So, and not only this, but other, these sublords, which are usually called as the cuspal sublord, they also change, and in turn, they create all these differentiator, between a twin birth in terms of their education or a profession or a marriage or no marriage. So those kind of things. So that is what is the foundation of Krishnamurti Paddhati. It's based on Vishwattari Dasha, and these subdivisions have been applied to the houses as well as planets. And the a planet gives the result of his star lord, and but whether the result is going to be positive or negative is going to be decided by the sublord. Now, in my follow up or the subsequent video, I'll discuss about how to judge a horoscope and how to find out whether a particular planet is bound to give a positive or negative result based on the star lord and the sublord. So that is all for this session. Hope you enjoyed it.